And in between, we will have the time to talk. As of now, don't talk. You are muted. Everybody in YouTube, welcome to the crash course. I am giving you all my prayers and blessings for Teachers' Day. Thank you for all the best wishes and wonderful, loving messages you sent me. Today, we are starting a 15-day master course. That is what I call it. Because in this course, we master English literature, isn't it? And you become masters. So there are 2 days for Unit 1 drama. We will deal with British literature today, British drama today, and we will talk about non-British drama tomorrow. I hope everybody is okay with that. We have already given to our students the schedule of the crash course. We will post the schedule in the description of the video also. If anybody has not got the crash course schedule, you can just look at the description of the video and you will get it. Okay, guys. So today we will have Unit 1 drama, British literature, brought to you by not only Kalyani Vallath, but also Team TES. I'm just looking at the YouTube video so that I can reply to your comments also. Right. So guys, listen everybody. British literature began in the early Renaissance period with Chaucer. But Chaucer did not write drama. British literature, however, drew inspiration from Greco-Roman period. We have to talk about the Greek playwrights as part of British literature because many British literary works of the Renaissance period drew from the Greek playwrights. Remember? So we have to talk about the Greek playwrights. In the classical period in Greece, there were 3 major tragedians: Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides. Remember, Aeschylus is the father of Greek tragedy. His most important play is the Orestia. The NET exam expects you to do your own research. Listen, everybody, carefully. When you read on Aeschylus, please note the Greek titles of his plays. There were 3 tragedies that the Greek playwrights wrote together. The 3 tragedies formed a trilogy. Along with that, there was a satire play, a comedy. So what is the satire play that came with Orestia of Aeschylus? What is the satire play that came with Theban trilogy of Sophocles? Like that also, they will ask questions. You should read from our material, of course, our encyclopedia, PDF, etc. But always remember, whether you are a YouTube student, YouTube baby, I say, or a paid course baby, Zoom babies, YouTube babies, whatever you are, you should do your own research and reading. You know why? Because these days questions are research oriented. So in the remaining days before the exam, as well as when you start your preparation for new students, this is a very important, strict instruction I give you. You should read extra. In the remaining days when you revise before the exam, remember to look up something in YouTube, Wikipedia or any other important website and read extra quickly. Did you understand, guys? Aeschylus' Orestia has the 3 plays: Agamemnon, Koi Phoroi or libation bearers. Koi Phoroi. Once they surprised us in NET. They said, we all knew libation bearers English title. They said, koi for oi in the question. We couldn't understand. So remember to look up the Greek titles also. Aeschylus wrote 3 plays: Agamemnon, Koi for oi or libation bearers, and Eumenides. Eumenides means the Furies. There are 3 Furies who are attacking Orestes for killing his mother. Why did Orestes kill his mother? Because his mother, Clytemnestra, killed his father, Agamemnon. This is the story of the house of Atreus. All these are important in understanding the Orestia of Aeschylus. And in the case of Sophocles, you have Oedipus Tyrannus, Oedipus at Colonus, and Antigone. Isn't it? Oedipus Tyrannus, Oedipus at Colonus, and Antigone. It is believed that Antigone was written first, and Oedipus Tyrannus is the most famous play. We know it as Oedipus Rex. Oedipus Rex and Oedipus Tyrannus both mean Oedipus the king. You know, in Greece at that time, kings were called tyrants. Will you remember, guys? Kings were called tyrants. Are YouTube babies, thank you for Teachers' Day wishes. Abhi, dhyan se suno, pay attention. Nothing else you should say, only important things related to whatever I am speaking here, you should say. Okay, guys? Right. So, it is in Oedipus at Colonus that Oedipus died. Guys, when you study, look up the detailed summary. They will always ask some questions to check whether you have read the book. I am telling you guys, there are many shortcuts that you should follow. You need not read every single book, but as far as possible, at least look at Oedipus, the king, the play, because it's a very important play. Read the opening, read the ending, look up excerpts, like that. At least some reading you should do. If possible, read the entire play if you have time. But I know every play we can't read. But it is, if you're a beginner, make sure you read. So, Oedipus, how does it begin? Who speaks at first? Who speaks at the end? You know, questions like that come to check whether you have read the play. Did you understand? Don't forget that. They are called Theban trilogy. Guys, today I have released in Vallath's Test public group an amazing study resource, the mini mag. Did you look at it? Did you see it? Inglit mini mag, we call it. I will post in every group, okay? You should look at it and use it. The summary is given there, but I can't give you all the issues before upcoming exam. You already have every day at 6 PDF and everything. You should use that. But for long-term study, one by one, we will introduce all the topics in Minimag. Okay? Minimag is not only information, it is a methodology. It is a methodology, how to study, how to think, what should you look for. That you will understand from the Minimag. When you study, follow that methodology. Okay, guys? Very good. Now, what are Zoom people saying? Let me take a quick look. Okay. I won't be able to read your chat messages while I'm speaking, okay? Important things don't say in the chat message, I won't be reading. Now, Oedipus and Jocasta, they had 4 children. Eteocles, Polynices, Antigone, and Ismene. And the third important play, Antigone, is the story of Oedipus's daughter Antigone. She is trying to bury the dead body of her brother. That is Polynices' body she is trying to bury. That is the story of Antigone by Sophocles. And Euripides is the author of many important plays, including Medea. In Euripides' Medea, Medea is a woman of blood revenge. She is killing her own children to take revenge against her husband, Jason. Jason left Medea for another woman. Did you understand? That woman's name is Glauce, Glauce. Jason left Medea for Glauce. So Medea is taking revenge. Then there is the comedy writer, Aristophanes. The Greek playwrights are tragedians and comedy writers. Aristophanes wrote The Clouds, The Wasps, Lysistrata, The Frogs. Many important plays are there by Aristophanes. In The Clouds, we have Socrates as a character. In Frogs, we have Dionysius as a character. Who is Dionysius, guys? Dionysius is the god of merriment, wine drinking. It is in his festival that drama came into being. Are you remembering everything? I'm telling like a story so that previous students will once again remember everything. You will get the motivation to study. Look up to from today onwards, along with me. You know, whatever I taught at night, in the morning you should revise. Promise me. You should revise all that I taught in the morning. Revise. New students should read extra, should get ready for the course. Okay? This will be an amazing thing, whether you are YouTube baby or Zoom baby. Okay? Then we have other playwrights like Menander. Remember, guys, Aristophanes wrote old comedy. Menander wrote new comedy. Menander's new comedy developed into comedy of manners. Isn't it? And then there are other Greek writers, poets. I will talk about them tomorrow. And then we come to the British playwrights. In British, these are sure shot authors. Definitely you will get one question from one of these writers. Isn't it? I'm not talking about Chaucer here. Chaucer we will talk about in poetry. And today we will talk about William Shakespeare. After my class, there will be rapid fire session also. Okay. William Shakespeare wrote 37 plays, 154 sonnets. In net exam, they will ask about the socio-political side of the plays and the playwrights. They may ask you one question from the plays to check whether you have read the major plays in detail. Look up all the major plays. Characters you should look up. Opening you should look up. Excerpts you should look up. Critics about Shakespeare. What did critics say about Shakespeare? You should look up. Will you do that, guys? I need to drink some water. Today, tomorrow morning itself, tonight or tomorrow morning itself, those who are preparing for coming exam, what will you study? You have to look up the important aspects of Shakespeare's life. You have to look up what other critics said about Shakespeare, important plays of Shakespeare, Shakespeare's times and Shakespearean criticism. Will you remember? I will give you a quick overview of all this. Shakespeare was born in 1564, died in 1616. Shakespeare worked for Lord Chamberlain's Men, which was at first called Lord Strange's Men, and later that acting troupe was called King's Men. Will you remember? Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway, and Shakespeare went to London. At first, he was an actor. Then he became a playwright, and then he became a businessman. Are you following me, everyone? And then Shakespeare wrote early comedies, mature comedies. Then after that, at this time, he was writing English history plays. Then after that, he wrote dark comedies, Roman tragedies, and also great tragedies. After that came the romances. The romances are mature tragicomedies. Remember, literary terms also important. All these genres and terms important, don't ignore it. Okay. And in Shakespearean time, there were acting troupes. First permanent theatre had just come into being. It was called the theatre, led by James Burbage. James Burbage's son, Richard Burbage, was a Shakespearean actor. On stage, he acted Shakespeare's heroes. And then there will be questions based on the publication of Shakespearean plays. Only 16 of his plays were printed in his lifetime. The first complete collection of Shakespearean plays is called the First Folio. Folio is a large size. The half of folio is called quarto. Getting me, guys? Half of folio is called quarto. And then Shakespeare's First Folio came in 1623. Hemminge and Condell were the editors. Shakespeare became a very important figure in the 18th century. There were people like Schlegel in Germany who translated Shakespeare. And Shakespearean tragedy and comedy are both romantic. That means Shakespeare did not strictly follow classical rules. At the time Shakespeare was writing, drama was just beginning. Drama was just beginning. The first tragedy was Gorboduc or Ferex and Porrex. The first comedy was Ralph Royster Doyster. It was written by Nicolas Udall. They will check whether you have done your own reading. So minor points about Nicolas Udall, etc. can be asked. Remember, guys, listen to me carefully. A lot of questions in NET will be easy. Every question is not difficult. A lot of questions are easy. They require your general knowledge and common sense. A lot of questions are only English language questions, actually. If you carefully read them, you will be able to follow. In the exam hall, don't get stressed. Casually, carefully, if you read them, you will be able to follow. A lot of questions are chronology questions. When you study, remember to study in the correct order. Gorboduc, when you remember the title, 1561, like that you should remember. Along with it, you should remember the title. Okay? In the last minute before the exam these days, make a list of important works and the years. Revise just the years. Make some interesting connections. Will you do that? Then you will be able to remember. Gorboduc, 1561. And Elizabethan comedy was influenced by Commedia dell'arte. Commedia dell'arte is an Italian street theatre. Will you remember all that? Shakespeare was associated with the Globe Theatre. The Lord Chamberlain's men enacted in the Globe only. And the first performance in the Globe was Julius Caesar. Guys, these days in NET, they are not asking facts directly. Yes, they are asking analytical questions only. But if you do not know the facts, you may not be able to analyze. It is not that facts are utterly unimportant. That is wrong. Facts are important. But with the basis of facts, you have to learn to analyze. Like that, they're asking questions. Did you understand? It is good that they're asking such questions. We will become better scholars. It is no good if we are just mugging up and passing. That is no good. We have to study properly and pass only, isn't it? Shakespeare was associated with Mermaid Tavern, where John Donne was an important figure. John Donne attended the meetings in Mermaid Tavern. Okay? Many people have written Shakespeare's biographies. Shakespearean critics, Shakespearean biographers, Shakespeare adaptations. All these can be important. Contemporary writers who rewrote Shakespeare, you know, like Tom Stoppard wrote Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. Edward Bond wrote Bingo. Then the Clockwork Orange author's name is, the author of Clockwork Orange wrote that famous book on Shakespeare. Oh my God, what is his name? Array, people in chat message are telling me, I'm sure. What is the name of Anthony Burgess? Without looking at your chat itself, I remembered. Nothing Like the Sun by Anthony Burgess. That is also based on Shakespeare. These are all very important contemporary works with Shakespeare as character. Bill Bryson has written an important biography of Shakespeare. Okay. And you should know important plays by Shakespeare and characters, because once they asked in net or cassette, I think, who of the following are not one of the 6 rude mechanicals in Midsummer Night's Dream, they asked. You know, like that they will ask. So Shakespearean plays are important. Let me leave it to the end of the session when we have rapid fire for the questions. Now moving on to the university wits. It was George Sainsbury who called them university wits. The university wits wrote only tragedies. They were all educated at Oxford or Cambridge. Remember, they might give you 3 or 4 statements and ask you which of these is true, which of these is false. That is a very important type of question that you will get. You should know true statements and false statements. Many of these true-false statements are based on facts only. Many of Shakespeare's contemporaries were not only playwrights, they were prose writers and poets also. Now, the university wits began writing even before Shakespeare, 1580s. Remember, Shakespearean plays many of his plays were historical. He based his history plays on Holinshed's and Hall's chronicles. Chronicles of Holinshed and Hall. Right, like that. University wits also wrote historical plays. And university wits include John Lilly. John Lilly wrote euphuistic plays. Euphuism is a style of prose. Many of his plays were also euphuistic. Remember, Lilly was the only man who wrote comedies among the university wits. Only Lilly wrote comedies among the university wits. And Lilly's important works include Endymion or The Man in the Moon. Then The Woman in the Moon also Lilly wrote. Euphues' Anatomy of Wit. All these were not plays. Some of these were prose works. Okay. Which of the following is a play? Which of the following is not a play? Like that, they will ask questions. Then George Peele is a writer who wrote very violent kind of drama and prose. Thomas Kyd is very, very important. His Spanish tragedy, Thomas Kyd's Spanish tragedy is very famous as Marlowean tragedies. The Spanish tragedy textual questions can be asked. In Spanish tragedy, Revenge and Don Andrea are on the stage throughout. And the play, Spanish tragedy, is in the form of a play within the play. Did you read a Spanish tragedy, guys? Otherwise, read a detailed summary. At least now, it is very important for NET. And it is happening in Spain and Portugal. New students, this is only an overview. Once the exam is over in YouTube as well as in paid classes, I will start everything from the beginning. You will be able to cover everything from the beginning. Don't panic. And those who are writing this exam, pay attention, follow all these authors, prepare on your own in the morning so that in the exam you will get these questions, you will pass this time itself. Then we have Thomas Lodge. Thomas Lodge is famous for Rosalind, Euphues' Golden Legacy. And Thomas Lodge also wrote Defense of Poetry, Music, and Stage Plays. Then Lodge wrote 2 plays which are important: The Wounds of the Civil Wars, A Looking Glass for London and England. Robert Greene also wrote drama as well as prose and poetry. His prose works are also important, like Euphues. He imitated, Euphues is by Lilly, but Robert Greene imitated Euphues in his prose works. Robert Greene is also remembered for attacking Shakespeare. And then there is Thomas Nash. Thomas Nash wrote picaresque works. And rogue tales were there at this time. Rogue tales. Piers Penniless of Thomas Nash is the rogue tale. Will you remember? Very famous is Thomas Nash's Unfortunate Traveler. Are you getting everything? And of course, this video will be available forever. It will be available unless somebody hacks our channel. God forbid it won't happen again. All of you are praying. The greatest university wit was Christopher Marlowe. Guys, those who are beginners should read on your own a little bit and get ready. Those who are advanced learners, remember all the minor details also. Marlowean tragedy is characterized by Marlowean hero, blank verse that is rich and sensuous. He shows the Renaissance quest for power and beauty, and his characterization is rather simple. He wrote Tamburlaine the Great, the Jew of Malta, Edward II, Dr. Faustus. Tomorrow morning itself, remember to look up detailed summaries quickly. Tamburlaine the Great, characters like Xenocrates, important. He was a Scythian shepherd who became an emperor, remember? Jew of Malta, important. Barabbas, Ithamor. Barabbas' second villain is Ithamor. And it is influenced by Merchant of Venice. Some excerpts, etc., they will ask. Some lines, etc., remember to look up. When in the exam they ask, you should remember, yes, Kalyani ma'am said, and I remembered, I read. That is why I am remembering now. I got the correct answer. You will pass. Remember, every question is important. Every question will take you towards passing. So don't take any risk. Okay, guys? Guys, I will not be able to read all your comments. What are you asking me, Anjali? Anjali always keeps asking things. And I don't know what you've asked me. Once again, copy paste karo, I will reply. Okay, now Dr. Faustus is important. Dr. Faustus has elements of morality play. Remember that? Wagner, horse trainer, the scholars, Mephistopheles, important characters. I will give you a tip, important tip, guys. When you read online, read not only plot summary, you should also read the character analysis. Character analysis is very, very important. Right. And okay, 1,000 times we have given slides now. So you have to use your brain, Anjali. That is why. If I show everything, it will be very confusing. So use your brain. It is here that you should store. And in the exam, what you store in your brain is what will help you. Spoon feeding is destroying you, actually. More and more spoon feeding means you will not be able to remember at all. That is why, guys. So you have to sit and listen with a paper and pen. Already you have the PDF of Everyday at 6. You should read it. Did you understand? And close your eyes and listen to me. Remember everything here. My method is correct. It will help you remember. Pay attention and use your brain and try to recollect everything. Okay, guys? And note down on paper what I'm saying. Now, the Marlowean blank verse style is called mighty line. Who called mighty line? Marlowe's blank verse mighty line? It is Ben Jonson. Talk about Ben Jonson. We have him right here. He's an important Jacobean playwright. Who are the important Jacobean playwrights? Ben Jonson, who wrote Comedy of Humours. What did Ben Jonson write? Comedy of Humours. And important comedy of humours are Every Man in His Humour, Every Man Out of His Humour, Volpone or the Fox, Volpone, Volpone or the Fox, Cynthia's Revels, Poetaster, Epicene, important Volpone, Epicene, The Alchemist. These are all important. Epicene, the alchemist in Epicene, one woman is disguised as a man. Remember? And she is cheating Morose. In Volpone, Volpone is disguised as a sick man. He is pretending to be ill. In Alchemist, Subtle and Phase are cheating everybody. Do you remember all this? That is the important plays of Ben Jonson. There are 4 humors: blood, phlegm, choler, melancholy. These are the humors in the body. Unequal proportion of these humors. You have more blood, means you are sanguine. You have more phlegm, means you are phlegmatic. You have more choler, means you are choleric. You have more black bile, means you are melancholic. These are the 4 humors. We have characters in Ben Jonson who are eccentric because of the humors. Will you remember? Ben Jonson's Volpone, Alchemist, Epicene. Tomorrow morning you have to read little bit. Not all, just little bit. Who are the main characters? What happens here? Quickly you have to remember. Ben Jonson wrote 2 tragedies, Sejanus and Catiline. Sejanus and Catiline. Then other Jacobean dramatists are there, like Marston and Decker, Webster, Cyril Tourneur. Then we have Chapman, Heywood. Okay, let me just go over the important writers and works once again. Tomorrow morning, you should promise me you will read. George Chapman, who translated Homer, wrote The Blind Beggar of Alexandria. He was one of the writers in Eastward Ho. Are you taking down quickly? If your aim is to pass, then follow my method. If your aim is to waste time, then follow the information. In order to pass, you have to remember. Otherwise, it is very difficult, isn't it? Don't get stressed. Relax. Just listen to me. In the exam, you will remember. Just keep a paper and pen and just note down. Tomorrow morning, read a little bit extra. All these authors, little bit you should read extra. Either in our encyclopedia or in the internet or in whatever material you have. Okay? Now, Thomas Heywood wrote A Woman Killed with Kindness, The English Traveller, etc. Thomas Heywood. Thomas Dekker wrote The Shoemaker's Holiday. Remember, 1599, Shoemaker's Holiday. Thomas Dekker. John Marston wrote The Malcontent. Their minor works could also be important. Just quickly look up their minor works in your notes tomorrow morning. Cyril Tourneur is believed to have written The Revenger's Tragedy. Guys, every question in net is not difficult. Many questions are match the following. You just need to know title sometimes. Then also you will get questions. Jacobean playwrights, title matching, usually they ask. Webster's Duchess of Malfi and White Devil are important. Tomorrow morning, remember, Duchess of Malfi and White Devil, look up because it is prescribed in universities. Then Beaumont and Fletcher. Beaumont and Fletcher together wrote tragicomedies like Philaster. Beaumont alone wrote plays. Beaumont wrote The Night of the Burning Pestle. And Fletcher wrote The Faithful Shepherdess. Don't get stressed. Relax and listen. Even listening to my voice will help you. Even listening to my voice will help you in the exam. You will remember. Thomas Middleton wrote variety of plays. He wrote a tragedy based on Macbeth called The Witch. He wrote a city comedy called Chaste Maid in Cheapside. He wrote a tragedy called Women Beware Women. Also, collaboratively, The Changeling. Women Beware Women and Changeling are tragedies. Women Beware Women is there in Wastelands. A game at chess is a comedy that is alluded to in the wasteland. All these are by Middleton. Once again, Middleton wrote The Witch. Then A Chaste Maid in Cheapside, city comedy. Then Women Beware Women and Changeling. Remember everything? Okay, Changeling was written with William Rowley. Other Jacobean dramatists are there, Messenger, John Ford, James Shirley, etc. They are not very important. Lastly, in 17th century, there was Restoration playwrights. Jacobean playwrights came at the beginning of the 17th century. End of the 17th century came the Restoration playwrights. All of you know that Restoration is the period of John Dryden. John Dryden was a major playwright. John Dryden wrote The Wild Gallant, his major play. And he also wrote The Indian Queen, The Indian Emperor, all for love. At first, Dryden wrote in rhyme. Later, he wrote in blank verse, all for love. Dryden was a major playwright, but he is remembered as a satirist. Are you following, everybody? He is remembered as a satirist. Yes, guys, 1630 to 1700. That is Dryden's time. And Dryden converted to Catholicism in 1686. In 1688, he became the poet laureate. Dryden largely wrote heroic drama. Dryden wrote heroic drama. Remember, guys, everyone? Dryden was a major Restoration writer, playwright, satirist, poet. But there was also Restoration comedy. Restoration comedy was written by Wycherley, Congreve, Etheridge, Farquhar, Durfee, so many people. If you are a beginner, don't panic. I'm just telling you to listen, that's all. If you are an advanced level student, remember their works. These Restoration dramatists had started writing just after theatres reopened in 1660. Before that, the Puritans were ruling. And the theatres reopened in 1660. So everybody is writing with great enthusiasm. That means a lot of immorality on stage. Restoration dramatists were attacked by Jeremy Collier. Remember, guys? Restoration dramatists were attacked by Jeremy Collier. A short view of Jeremy Collier. Congreve, Wycherley, Etheridge, their plays you should remember. Tomorrow morning, remember to look at this slide, Restoration playwrights, and then look up these major writers. I will remind you now, Wycherley wrote The Country Wife and the Plain Dealer. Wycherley wrote The Country Wife and the Plain Dealer. Remember, in Country Wife, Horner is seducing many women, including Marjorie Pinchwife. In the Plain Dealer, it is based on Moliere's Misanthrope. Plain Dealer has the protagonist, Manly. It gave Wycherley the name, Manly Wycherley. Do you remember everything? I hope you remember. And then there is Congreve. Congreve wrote Double Dealer. Wycherley wrote Plain Dealer. Congreve wrote Double Dealer. Congreve is a Restoration playwright like Wycherley. Congreve wrote many plays, Love for Love. His first play was The Old Bachelor. His last play was The Way of the World. The Way of the World came in 1700 after Jeremy Collier's attack. After The Way of the World was written, Congreve did not write any plays. He went and lived like one of his characters. Did you know that, guys? Are you feeling bored, anybody? Are you enjoying? Is this helping you? If it is helping you, you should tell me in the comments now. I am looking at your comments. You can give me chang, 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 chang if you enjoy. Thank you, guys. Yes, people in YouTube are reminding me. Now, enough. I'm going back to teaching. Okay. You people in YouTube are reminding me our Dryden was attacked in the play, the rehearsal. Yes, Congreve was a member of Kit Kat Club. And Congreve's last play, Way of the World, is the story of Mirabelle and Millamant. Many times they have asked textual questions. Opening scene, proviso scene, characters, excerpts, quotations. Will you remember? Tomorrow morning, you should look up. Guys, restoration drama was even written by people like Aphra Behn. Aphra Behn also wrote restoration drama. In the Augustan period, it was mostly poetry and satire. Augustan age did not have a lot of drama. But at the end of Augustan age, there was Oliver Goldsmith and Richard Brinsley Sheridan. End of Augustan age, Oliver Goldsmith and Richard Brinsley Sheridan. Goldsmith wrote The Rivals, She Stoops to Conquer, The Good-Natured Man. And Goldsmith did not write Rivals. Sheridan wrote The Rivals. Goldsmith wrote The Good-Natured Man and She Stoops to Conquer. Sheridan wrote The Rivals and The School for Scandal. These are important. You should look up. Did you get that, guys? And then we have the Romantic period. In the Romantic period also, a lot of dramatists were not there. Wordsworth wrote only one play, The Borderers. Coleridge wrote The Remorse. Byron wrote plays. Byron wrote verse plays. Manfred, Marino, Faliero, Sardana, Palace. And Shelley also wrote some verse plays. Swellfoot the Tyrant, The Cenci, Prometheus Unbound. Those are verse plays by Shelley. Hellas by Shelley. And the next important period in drama was the end of Victorian period. It was Oscar Wilde and George Bernard Shaw who finally started writing plays in earnest at this time. Oscar Wilde is an important writer, born in 1854, died in 1900. Oscar Wilde was an Irish dramatist and aesthete. Aesthetic movement he belonged to, isn't it? He wrote the French play Salome, and he wrote English plays. Only one novel he wrote, The Picture of Dorian Gray. The Picture of Dorian Gray is the important work of the aesthetic movement. The preface to The Picture of Dorian Gray is a very important book in net, they might ask. And the four comedies of Oscar Wilde are Lady Windermere's Fan, A Woman of No Importance, An Ideal Husband, and The Importance of Being Earnest. This chronology, they might ask. Lady Windermere's Fan, A Woman of No Importance, An Ideal Husband, The Importance of Being Earnest. About these plays, they have asked questions in net. You should look up. The Importance of Being Earnest is his most famous play, 1895. It is subtitled A Trivial Comedy for Serious People. He is making fun of upper class pretensions in this play, Importance of Being Earnest. Then we have, there is an announcement regarding our crash course. Look at this, guys. Not crash course, our main course. There is offline class and online class starting at TES. Online classes will start from October 1st week. And there is a scholarship exam. If you need up to 50% fees reduction, we will give you in scholarship exam. Okay, offline and online students can sign up. After registering in our course, you can get scholarship. And we have decided it to be from 5 to 7 p.m. But depending on the convenience of our students, I will ask them, and we might change it to 6 to 8 p.m. or something. If you need to know more details, you can call 93878 39871. So that is about our online course. You will get a lot of materials here. Offline course is also there at Trivandrum. People from all over India are coming and joining, but we have only limited seats because of Corona. I don't want to give more than 100 admissions. So there also we have a scholarship exam. Classes will be 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. on many days of the week, only 1 or 2 days holidays. 5 or 6 days classes will be there. So please contact us if you need to know more. Now going on to the 20th century. I hope you will not feel bored. Let me continue for a little more time. First is the Irish playwright, George Bernard Shaw. Along with George Bernard Shaw, there was also J.M. Synge and Sean O'Casey. George Bernard Shaw lived from 1856 to 1950. They might ask you from Bernard Shaw's plays. Very important plays are The Apple Cart, Arms and the Man, Candida, The Doctor's Dilemma, Pygmalion, Man and Superman, Saint John. If you get time tomorrow morning, please look up. There might be a Major Barbara. These are all prescribed plays. As you know, Bernard Shaw wrote drama of ideas. He was inspired by Ibsen. He wrote quintessence of Ibsenism. His contemporaries like J.M. Synge were there. J.M. Synge wrote 2 important plays, Riders to the Sea and Playboy of the Western World. And Sean O'Casey wrote Dublin Trilogy. Tomorrow morning, remember to look up. They are all very important writers. Okay? And in the 20th century, we have in the 1940s, John Osborne, another major playwright. John Osborne, as you know, is associated with the Angry Young Man movement. The Angry Young Man movement is a 1940s, 50s post-war movement, which started with John Osborne's Look Back in Anger. Look Back in Anger came in 1956. It was first performed in 1956. Look Back in Anger initiated Angry Young Man movement. It was a working class movement against the upper class movements in literature. It was a reaction against drawing room comedies of Noel Coward and Terence Rattigan. Drawing room comedies of Noel Coward and Terence Rattigan. At this time in drama, poetic drama was also happening. T.S. Eliot, Christopher Fry, W.B. Yeats, etc. were writing poetic drama also at this time. Our John Osborne also wrote The Entertainer. Another important play, The Entertainer. Look Back in Anger has a sequel, Deja Vu. Those who are beginners, I just want you to hear all these names. I just want you to remember what you have studied. If you don't remember, it is okay. But we have to know at least the names, and slowly we will fill in the gaps in our course, main course. Those who are advanced learners, tomorrow morning itself, look up these works. Don't forget. John Osborne was not the only playwright in Angry Young Man movement. Other playwrights were also there, particularly Arnold Wesker. Arnold Wesker and John Osborne both were associated with kitchen sink realism or kitchen sink drama. This was associated with the working class squalor and misery. David Sylvester was the one who used the term kitchen sink school. Another figure in kitchen sink drama is Sheila Delaney. Sheila Delaney, who wrote the play, The Taste of Honey. Sheila Delaney wrote The Taste of Honey. Angry Young Men movement was followed by the absurd movement of Samuel Beckett. Absurdist movement, theatre of the absurd. Samuel Beckett wrote only 3 full-length plays: Waiting for Godot, Endgame, and Happy Days. All his other plays were dramaticules, small plays. And Samuel Beckett was also a major playwright and poet as well as novelist. He was a playwright, poet, and novelist. There will definitely be question based on Waiting for Godot. You have to read the detailed summary or the play itself if possible, detailed summary at least, because there will be textual questions also. Look up the characters, what they are doing. They will check it in the exam. End game also important. In Waiting for Godot, we have characters like Vladimir and Estragon, then Pozo and Lucky, Messenger Boy. There are also characters like Ham and Clove, Nag and Nell in our end game. Murphy, Molloy, Malone Dies, Unnameable, these are his novels. When I say these names, if you already know them, good. If you don't know them, I only want you to hear. Don't try to remember. Okay? Don't worry. Happy Days is about Willie and Winnie, a couple. And these are all plays that are very disturbing plays, using dramatic, absurdist elements. Absurdist elements are there in Harold Pinter's plays also. Harold Pinter wrote Comedy of Menace. One kind of absurd play is Comedy of Menace. He used silence and violence in plays like Birthday Party, The Homecoming, The Caretaker. Absurd elements are also there in playwrights like Edward Bond, Tom Stoppard. They are also important British playwrights. Talk about Tom Stoppard. We have to remember his plays like Arcadia, Hapgood, Travesties, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. Tom Stoppard. Yes, Martin Esslin coined the term theatre of the absurd. Edward Bond also wrote plays of violence. Edward Bond's plays, I mentioned Bingo, where Shakespeare is a character. The Pope's Wedding, Saved, Lear, The Bundle. These are important. And then there is Carol Churchill. She is a very important feminist playwright who experimented with drama. In Carol Churchill's plays, we find dance drama, we find theatre of cruelty elements. Who wrote theatre of cruelty? Who wrote plays that belong to theatre of cruelty? Antonin R. Todd. His book is Theatre and Its Double. Antonin R. Todd is a French playwright. Carol Churchill employed elements of theatre of cruelty. She was also inspired by Bertolt Brecht's theatre of epic theatre. We will talk about Bertolt Brecht and other non-British playwrights tomorrow. Carol Churchill's Top Girls is prescribed in universities. They have already asked in net questions on Serious Money and Cloud 9. Cloud 9 is about sexual politics, so is Top Girls. In Top Girls, there is an all-female cast. And only half an hour more will be there. Session is only half an hour more, 9:30. Okay. Carol Churchill criticized Thatcherite England. Thatcherite England. And she also is a major figure in socialist theatre. Carol Churchill is a major figure in socialist theatre. Will you remember these points, guys? And we have other contemporary playwrights in Britain, like John Arden, Alan Ayckbourn, David Hare, Peter Shaffer. Sometimes they might ask the following or something about these writers. Okay, so we have come to the end of British drama discussion. Now we will have a short session of rapid fire. We will have one member from Team TES to ask you questions. I am also here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm also here. We will explain some of these things that we have. So it is curtains on our lecture for today. Tomorrow onwards, we will have other topics. Okay, so Prijit, I invite you to join us and I will share the screen. Prijit, are you there? Everybody, please take a water drinking break. Yes, I will make you
yes,
the co-host. Please switch on your. Very good. Over to you.
Happy Teachers' Day, ma'am.
Thank you, Prijit. We will share screen now.
Okay. So, dears, can we start? Hello, everyone. Okay, I believe all of you are ready. Okay, the first question, which among the following is not included in the Oedipus trilogy? We can answer in the chat box. YouTube viewers, you can also answer in the chat box, comment box. We will check it and tell you. Okay. Take your time. Oedipus Rex.
You can read the options. Yes, Prijit. Please
Yes.
read the options.
Arestia, Oedipus at Columbus. And the right answer is Arestia. Okay, there are many correct answers. We are checking it. There are many correct answers in YouTube also. Yes. And the next question is.
Shall I just explain, Bridget?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Orestia is by Aeschylus. It is part of Aeschylus' trilogy. Orestia is Aeschylus' trilogy. Theban trilogy is by Sophocles, remember.
And the second question, identify the type of play that is known for the depiction of personification of values like justice, mercy, gluttony, etc. Options, allegorical plays, mystery plays, morality plays, personal plays. Yes, answers, yes. There are, yeah, we are checking, yes. Very good. Yes. And the correct answer is, yeah, we are checking many correct answers are coming. Morality plays.
Remember, guys, the earliest plays were the miracle plays. After that came the morality plays. In the medieval period, morality plays emerged, and it laid the foundation of Tudor drama. Much of Elizabethan drama is also having elements of morality plays, such as Dr. Faustus. Over to you, Prijit.
Yes, ma'am. The next question. Ferex and Porrex is now the title for which of the following? The Simoning of Everyman, Gorboduc, Bartholomew Fair, none of this. Answers, please. Yes. Those who are, the answer comes. Gorboduc.
Yes, guys. You know, Gorboduc was an ancient British king, and Ferex and Porrex were his sons. This was the earliest play in blank verse as well. Gorboduc was the earliest tragedy in English. It was a revenge tragedy, and it was the first play to be written in blank verse. But the blank verse of Gorboduc was very monotonous, and it was improved in Marlovian blank verse. Next question, Bridget.
Yes, and those who are no idea about the answers, don't worry. Next question is here. Benedict and Beatrice is a romantic pairing in Dash, the comedy of errors, the taming of the shrew, love's lovers laws, much ado about nothing. Oh, there one question mark also. And there are many answers. Yes, yes, yes. Good.
So what is the answer?
The answer is, just check, much ado about nothing.
Benedict and Beatrice, they are not the protagonists here. In Much Ado About Nothing, Claudio and Hero are the protagonists. Benedict and Beatrice are subsidiary characters, but they are very important because the subplot centers on them. And Benedict and Beatrice are warring, battling lovers. They are called battling lovers. Very important subplot it has, Much Ado About Nothing. It's a mature comedy of Shakespeare. Next question.
The question is, which of the following is not a play by Shakespeare? Edward II, Richard II, Richard III, King John. Come on, answers are coming. Yes. Yes.
One of these is by Marlowe.
And there are some confusion, I think, when checking the comment box. Is there any?
The confusion will end when we explain.
All right. I think we can show the answer, ma'am, please. Here comes Edward II.
Edward II is a play by the university wit Christopher Marlowe. It is, of course, a history play showing Edward II's love for Piers Gaveston. There is homosexual love between these men, and Edward II's wife is taking revenge on him, which leads to his death ultimately. That was a very daring play written by Christopher Marlowe, who was himself a homosexual writer. Now, the other plays that we mentioned are by Shakespeare. Shakespeare's history plays related to British history are divided into the major tetralogy, the minor tetralogy, and also two plays which are not in any tetralogy. It was the plays Henry VIII and King John, which did not belong to any tetralogy. So such details, it will be good if you remember. Bridget, next.
Yes, the next question. In which play of Shakespeare does the prologue inform the audience that the play is based on a story by Chaucer? By Chaucer. Options: Cadmio, The Two Noble Kinsmen, King John, The Two Gentlemen of Verona. Yes.
And the answer is?
Option B, the two noble king's men.
Why is Chaucer mentioned in Two Noble Kinsmen? Because Two Noble Kinsmen is based on Chaucer's Knight's Tale. Chaucer's Knight's Tale is the story of Palamon and Arcite, both of them in love with Emily. And they are fighting for Emily. That is the story in Two Noble Kinsmen also. This takes place in Greece. It is an early play of William Shakespeare. It is not an early play, it's a late play of William Shakespeare, Two Noble Kinsmen. It is even believed that probably he wrote it in collaboration with John Fletcher or somebody.
Okay.
Remember, the minor works of major writers, they might ask questions about. Next question is,
which critic commented that Shakespeare has only heroines and no heroes? Philip Sidney, John Dryden, Dr. Johnson, John Ruskin. Yes. And don't forget to revamp, the comments, the criticisms by many, famous critics.
the answer is
John Ruskin.
John Ruskin said that Shakespeare has no heroes. He has only heroines, because the heroines are playing a central role in carrying the story forward, and they are accentuating the tragedy or the comedy of the heroes. The heroines were not given much attention at that time. The entire attention was focused on heroes. So in the book Sesame and Lilies, John Ruskin is giving a new focus to Shakespearean heroines. Remember, John Ruskin wrote about men and women and their role in Sesame and Lilies. He was a very important non-fiction writer of the Victorian period. And he wrote a lot of art criticism. He wrote about architecture. He was himself an artist. John Ruskin is a very important short author in Victorian prose.
Yes.
Next question is?
Next question. Which of the following university wits is known for the plays like Alphonsus, King of Aragon, Friar Bacon, and Friar Born Gay, etc.? Options: Robert Greene, Thomas Nash, George Peele, Thomas Lodge. Yes, answers are coming.
I will give you a clue. He attacked Shakespeare. I shouldn't have said. The answer is
Robert Greene.
Robert Greene wrote many works that were imitative of other writers, I have told you. His most important play was Friar Bacon and Friar Bongay, believed to be about two printers. It is believed to be a groundbreaking play because it has a multi-plot structure. It is not just one plot, it has several plots. 2-3 plots are there. So it is regarded to be very, very important. Robert Greene, remember, is one of the university wits.
If you listen to the 1 hour lecture of man, you can definitely, give correct answers.
Thank you. So shall we go on to the next question?
Yes, ma'am, please. Identify the correct chronological order based on publication. The Duchess of Malfi, the Spanish tragedy, the G of Malta, Hamlet. Give us the correct chronological order. Be very careful, guys. Yes.
Have you done it? If you know some general knowledge, most of the time.
Yes.
I was saying, if you have some general knowledge, most of the time chronological arrangement is easy.
Yes.
Shall we go on to the answer, and after that I'll explain? Bridget?
Yes. Yes. The order is the Spanish tragedy, the Jew of Malta, Hamlet, and finally the Duchess of Malfi.
Let me explain and tell you how the answer can be easily reached. Guys, the Spanish tragedy was an early play which came at about the same time as Tamburlaine, the first play by Marlowe. Spanish tragedy and Tamburlaine were best-selling plays at that time, blockbuster plays at that time. Definitely, it's after that Jew of Malta came. And Duchess of Malfi definitely came after Hamlet. Duchess of Malfi is a Jacobean play that came in 1613-14 period. Hamlet came in the turn of the century, 1601 period. So Hamlet has to come before Duchess of Malfi, definitely. Duchess of Malfi is by Webster. So Jew of Malta is also by a university wit. Hamlet is one of the later plays of Shakespeare. University wits wrote in the 1580s. Do you remember? So this is actually easy. Chronology is easy if you have some general knowledge about some of the works that are mentioned in the list. Okay, next question.
Question is, what is the full title of the play Volpone by Ben Jonson? Volpone or the fox, Volpone the villain, Volpone or the animal, none of the above.
They might know this one. What is the answer?
Maybe it's an easy question.
Ta-dang!
Volpone or the fox?
Volpone by Ben Jonson has elements of city comedy. It is comedy of humors. And it is also based on the tradition of beast fable. You know, Volpone, the protagonist, is greedy and cunning like a fox. He is pretending to be ill. His servant Mosca is a parasite character. He is the fly. And the character Mosca is going and telling rich Venetians, our Volpone is dying. Gives now, please him, so that you will get his riches, you will get his inheritance. So characters like Voltaire, Corbaccio, Corvino, then Lady Politic would be, they're all coming and trying to please Volpone without knowing that he is actually pretending. So all these characters, if you check out in Google, you can easily find all these characters correspond to some animal or bird. This is actually a beast fable which is transplanted into human society. So all characters, Voltaire, for example, is vulture, Mosca is fly, Lady Politic would be is the parrot. Then only two virtuous characters are there in this play, Celia and Bonario. That is important. Okay, this play is important. This is usually prescribed in universities. I hope you're not feeling bored. Are you ready for a few more questions, YouTube babies and Zoom babies?
They are enjoying.
I hope you are enjoying.
Yes.
Okay, next question.
Arrange the following chronologically. The Atheist tragedy, the Revengers tragedy, the Malcontent, the White Devil. Yes, please. Answers, please.
Do you remember who wrote these plays? That also you should remember. For example, Malcontent is a very famous play. White Devil is a very famous play. These at least you should know, and then you will be able to get the answer. That is how it works in the exam. Shall we go on? They might have done it. Shall we go on?
Yes, please. The Malcontent, the Revengers tragedy, the Atheist tragedy, and the White Devil.
Now, guys, the Malcontent is an early play that was written at the time of Hamlet. 1603, actually. Malcontent. White Devil is very late. White Devil and Duchess of Malfi came in 1612 and 1613. So, and in between, we have Revenger's Tragedy and Atheist Tragedy. Revenger's Tragedy may be written by Middleton or Turner. If you know a little bit of these things about these plays, you will be able to get it correct in the exam. Don't worry, just relax and think in the exam, okay? Your presence of mind, your confidence matters a lot in the exam. If you get worked up and excited, overexcited or nervous, it will make you go wrong in the exam. Next question.
The question is, identify the 17th century writer who is known for plays like The Indian Emperor, The Conquest of Granada, The Wild Gallant, etc. Margaret Cavendish, Samuel Pepys, John Dryden, William Congreve.
Ta-dang, I mentioned one of these in my lecture.
That's why I said if you listen to the lecture, you will get answers.
The Wild Gallant is the earliest play, I said. Indian Emperor is there. Array guys, Indian Emperor is not about any Indian Emperor. It's about Mexican. What it means is Red Indian. However, this writer, John Dryden.
John Dryden.
Yes, John Dryden is the answer. He has written about an Indian emperor. Who is that? Tell us in the chat box. It is Aurangzeb. John Dryden has written a play about the Indian emperor, Aurangzeb. Okay, next question.
Okay. The epigraph to the 1700 edition of The Way of the World contains 2 Latin quotations from Juvenal, Plato, Horace, Diogenes.
Guys, when you study not only the plot summary and characters, epigraph, prologue, such things are also important. Remember, the answer is, what is it, Prajit?
The answer is Horace.
The epigraph to The Way of the World contains quotations from Horace. Will you remember that, guys? The Way of the World, I told you, is a very important play by Congreve. Published in 1700. He never wrote plays after that, I told you. It has a famous proviso scene, I told you. Now you know something about the epigraph also. Next question.
The question is, who among the following is not a character in the play The Rivals, written by Richard Brinsley Sheridan? And options: Sir Anthony Absolute, Bob Actors, Captain Jack Absolute, Sir Oliver Surface.
One of these characters we know is from another famous play. And that is
Sir Oliver Surface.
Sir Oliver Surface is the uncle of Joseph Surface and Charles Surface in She Stoops to Conquer. Remember? In She Stoops to Conquer, there is the evil Joseph Surface and the innocent Charles Surface. And the girl Maria, they are both courting. Maria is the ward of Peter Teasel. So textual details could be important. Remember that, guys. What is the next question, Bridget?
Question is, which play is about the story of a young man named Guido? Options: The Duchess of Patwa, An Ideal Husband, A Woman of No Importance, Salome. Come on, answers please.
Who wrote The Duchess of Padua, An Ideal Husband, A Woman of No Importance, and Salome? It is Oscar Wilde. In which of these plays do we have the character Guido? Ta-dang!
Yes, The Duchess of Patwa.
That was an easy guess. You know how? Because Padua is in Italy, Guido is an Italian name. So you can guess. It must be Duchess of Padwa. Remember, guys, Oscar Wilde wrote Duchess of Padwa. It's a 5-act tragedy in blank verse set in Padwa. The White Devil is also partly set in Padwa. Duchess of Padwa is by Oscar Wilde. Remember all these titles? Will you remember? Next question.
Question is, which of the following titles of the plays by Noel Coward is taken from one of Shelley's poems? Options: Where the Rainbow Ends, Bittersweet, Bleed Spirit, Cavalcade. Yes.
I guess you know that one because the poem is very famous.
Very true.
Answer is?
A Bleed Spirit.
Yes. Hail to thee, blithe spirit. That is the opening line of To a Skylark. Shelley's To a Skylark. Noel Coward is a drawing room comedy writer. Noel Coward and Terence Rattigan, they are asked in net these days, remember, guys? And it is against the drawing room comedies. What came? Angry Young Man movement came. Okay, next question.
Arrange the following characters in their chronological sequence of appearance. Anne Wakefield, Eliza Doolittle, Raina Petkoff, King Magnus. Characters.
Yes.
And chronological sequence of appearance. Is it a tricky question?
It must be easy. They're all characters from Bernard Shaw. And Whitefield is character in Man and Superman. Eliza Doolittle in Pygmalion. Raina Petkoff in Arms and the Man. King Magnus in The Apple Cart. So actually they are asking you whether you know the chronology of the plays. Answer is?
Raina Petkoff, Anne Whitefield, Eliza Doolittle, King Magnus.
Guys, Raina Petkoff and Arms and the Man, early play. The Apple Cart, King Magnus, later play. Pygmalion, 1913, remember. Bernard Shaw chronology, you should remember. Okay, guys? I hope you're enjoying and remembering a lot of things. Don't get stressed. We are only trying to help you. In the coming days, if you revise all this, you will remember a lot in the exam. Okay?
The next question. The accent of F6 in which fictional country is this mountain located? Ruritania, Osnia, Zenda, Slovakia.
The Ascent of F6 is a verse tragedy. Who wrote it? Christopher Isherwood and W.H. Auden. What is the answer, Prajit?
The answer is Osnia.
Remember, many poetic plays were written by W.H. Auden and Christopher Isherwood. Osnia is the setting of The Ascent of F6. Next question.
Which of the following is not a part of the Wesker trilogy? Chicken soup with barley, chip with everything, roots. I'm talking about Jerusalem. Not a part of the Wesker trilogy.
I guess they know that. The answer is?
Chips with everything.
Chips with everything. What are the plays in Wesker trilogy? Chicken soup with barley, roots, and I am talking about Jerusalem. These three plays are about the Khan family. They are a Jewish communist family. Ronnie Khan is the protagonist. Chips with Everything is another play by Arnold Wesker. It's not part of the trilogy. Next question.
Which of the following plays was written in just 17 days in a deck chair? 17 days. Surgeon Mulgrave's Dance, Look Bandy and Girl, The Rivals, Deja Vu. Again, a question from ma'am's lecture. Is it?
Yeah. Sergeant Musgrave's Dance is a very major play by John Arden. Look Back in Anger and Deja Vu by John Osborne. The Rivals by Sheridan. Who just wrote this play sitting in a deck chair for 17 days? Oh my God, it is
Look Back in Anger
by John Osborne. So the history of writing the play also they might ask. Remember that, guys. Next question.
Which of the following is an autobiographical work by John Osborne? Tomorrow Never Comes, A Sense of Detachment, A Better Class of Person, none of these.
And the answer is?
A Better Class of Person.
Remember, for all the major writers, their autobiographies and other non-fiction works, please do remember. They always ask about Graham Greene, Doris Lessing, and many major writers, their autobiographical writings. Next question.
Identify the play which has a country road near a leafless tree as its setting. Catastrophe, Waiting for Godot, Not I, Endgame. Oh.
That is easy, but we are just reminding you guys, look up this play in the exam. Yes. Not so easy questions will come. The answer everybody knows is?
Waiting for Godot.
That's right. And then next.
Identify the play by Carol Churchill, where prominent female historical and fictional figures are gathered to celebrate another woman's professional success. A number, Top Girls, Far Away, Cloud9. There
is a character called Marlene. She has just been promoted and she is celebrating her success in a party. At the party, a lot of historical and fictional characters come, such as Patient Griselda from our Clark's Tale, Isabella Bird, Pope Joan. So many women come. The answer is?
Top Girls.
Top Girls, I told you, is a play that is prescribed in universities, and it refers to women who succeed in life, who overcome patriarchal structures, but they have to suffer a lot of losses in that process. So it is not easy for them. That is the message of the play. Next.
Question. Match the following. Yes, just look at it. A. Leopold Stay, A Blue Heart, Private Fears in Public Places, The Tinker's Wedding. And the right side's options, James Singe, Carl Churchill, Tom Stoppard, Alan Ayckbourn.
Guys, all the playwrights given here are very, very important. You should know all their important works. James Singe, Carol Churchill, Tom Stoppard, Alan Ayckbourn, all are important. Let us take a look at the answer.
See, Leopold Stay, Tom Stoppard, Blue Heart, Carol Churchill, Private Fears in Public Places, Alan Ayckbourn, The Tinker's Wedding, James Singe.
I myself don't know everything about these plays. I just know Leopard's Start is set against the Holocaust. That is a very interesting play by Tom Stoppard. Please look up Blue Heart by Carol Churchill also. Alan Ayckbourn, James Singe's Tinker's Wedding is there in our volume 3 encyclopedia. So I just want you to look up these playwrights and all their works. That is why we have given you this question. These questions will look a little difficult because we don't know these works. But if you just take a little strain to read about these writers a little more and look up their works, then you will find that the exam is easy. So that is all for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Bridget. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this session. I am ending the YouTube